Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the common water-type Pokemon Magikarp, the Fish Pokémon, and its uncommon water-flying type evolution, or Water-Dark, well Mega Evolved, Gyarados, the Atrocious Pokémon. While they might be seen as little more than a joke to some at first, the members of the Magikarp family are unique fish that can more than be made into a terrifying presence in any battle if given enough time and work.
Magikarp have ovoid bodies covered in orange scales, with a small set of white pectoral fins and a white tail fin, as well as yellow anal and dorsal fins that bring this silhouette into full view. Their face has a set of barbels that are either white or yellow in color, depending on if they are female or male, respectively, with thick pink lips and large pinprick eyes that give off a vacant stare in almost all emotional states. Their evolved form, Gyarados, have massive serpentine bodies with blue scales on the top of their form and beige scales in their belly area, with intermittent patches of the latter being seen on the sides of their form. Their body is host to a blue and beige tail fin and at least 4 white dorsal fins, with white pectoral fins being located on the side of their head, which itself is crowned with brilliant red eyes, a tripart aquamarine crest on their forehead, barbels that are blue or white for males and females respectively, and a massive gaping jaw with 4 sharp fangs that are almost always on vicious display. In addition to this, these creatures have access to a Mega Evolved state, and in this form, their belly scales turn a deep black color with a thin layer of red scales between it and their blue upper scales, the pattern of beige markings on the sides also turning red and forming pockets that water can be sprayed from, as their head crest further turns a deep black color. Their pectoral and dorsal fins have turned a beige-yellow color as the frontmost pair of the latter merge together to form a massive ribbed fin with yellow webbing and blue spines holding the structure together, all anchored on the thicker and more heavily muscled front body.
To say the least, for much of their early life, Magikarp are a joke of a life form in the eyes of many, and likely would have gone extinct decades ago from fishing, if not for the fact that they lay hundreds of eggs at a time, and it takes less for them to hatch than any other species of Pokemon.
However, Magikarp were not always so weak. In fact, it is believed that the species as a whole has changed radically from a powerful creature worth fearing into the weaklings they are today within the past 10,000 years. Fossilized Magikarp specimens from before this time period demonstrate a considerable array of offensive armaments and apparently possess a body structure much more similar to the evolved form seen today, and could thus almost be assumed to have had access to the same degree of power and a similar range of attacks.
However, it appears that these specimens were all saltwater creatures and were unable to exist within freshwater environments.
While the details are still a bit hazy, it is believed by some that the mutation into their current form was undertaken by Magikarp because their chances of surviving in freshwater were better than in saltwater due to the rapid development of powerful oceanic predators in ancient times. In response, these beasts changed their form not only to be better suited for different environments, but to enable them to pass by in the water without much fear of being attacked by anything else other than weaker predators. The net result, however, while excelling in adaptation to the point where Magikarp can survive and reproduce with great efficiency in any body of water, no matter how polluted it may be, further transform these creatures into pathetic beasts that can do very little to protect themselves from damage.
On the other hand though, their evolved form Gyarados have pretty much stayed the same throughout their history on the planet, and are effectively one of the most fearsome fish to ever be seen in battle.
When Magikarp evolve, an energetic chemical reaction within their brains permanently damages their adrenal gland and makes it almost impossible for these beasts to turn it off. In short, the slightest bit of anger can cause their bloodstream to be overfilled with adrenaline, leading them to act violently and go on a rampage that can last for days, weeks, and even a whole month in some cases. Unlike Magikarp, Gyarados are extremely powerful beasts that are heavily fortified in terms of offense and defense and are surprisingly quick for their large size, but what really makes them a threat are the attacks they manage to learn after evolution. Aside from getting access to the powerful Bite attack immediately after evolving, as well as Leer and Twister with a bit of artificial help, Gyarados gained access to a decent variety of normal, water, dark, dragon, and ice-type moves as they develop and eventually gain the capacity to utilize powerful attacks like Hydro Pump, Hurricane, Thrash, and Hyper Beam. This power comes at a cost, however, as Gyarados are extremely difficult to tame and are virtually unmatched in the water as predators, as their sharp fangs and monstrous jaw strength allow them to smash through tough shells surprisingly quickly.
As far as the abilities go, the two members of this family could not be any more different. While Magikarp are only able to make good use of their speed to get through water in short bursts, granting them access to Swift Swim as a base ability, those that are more skittish towards other life forms can also have Rattled as a hidden ability. On the other shoe, Gyarados are all about terror and fear, their monstrous appearances normally granting them access to Intimidate as a base ability, while those that are more inclined to boost their resolve and fighting spirit in battle as they fell one opponent after another can also have Moxie as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats are concerned, Gyarados are terrific combatants that more than make the time needed to evolve them from Magikarp worthwhile in the end. While the base special attack stat may be their only true weakness, as it is below average for fully evolved water and flying type Pokemon, they excel everywhere else, with their base speed stat being above average for a fully evolved water type Pokemon, even if it is only a single base point higher than what Magikarp have. The base defense stat is above average for a fully evolved flying type Pokemon, and the base HP, attack, and special defense stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types. In short, though they do have their limitations, these beasts are never to be underestimated and should be eliminated quickly to limit the destruction they can do in a fight. Until they are at least 75% through their normal developmental life cycle, Magikarp are unable to actually attack at all and are effectively limited to using a splash technique in battle and in the wild. This is primarily because the nerves connecting their brain to their muscles are extremely weak and difficult to use properly, making them akin to a slowpoke without any psychic powers or actual physical strength.
Even when they do manage to learn an attack, all Magikarp can actually use is a weak tackle attack and, if held past the normal point of evolution, a flail attack.
Aside from making them virtually worthless in battle, these weak muscles also make Magikarp poor swimmers that are physically incapable of fighting against anything more than a light current. Not surprisingly, this tends to mean that these beasts will end up in small puddles or in bodies of water otherwise dominated by vicious predators if even a small storm blows in. Because these creatures can effectively do little else than splash in most cases, they use this move as their primary means of defense to scare away potential predators. In most cases, however, leaping out of the water merely makes them a handy target for bird Pokemon like Pidgeot, which works well for their predators as it is said that their flesh helps to prolong the life of its eater. Oddly enough though, despite their incredible flaws, Magikarp can actually leap considerably high into the air when present on land, reaching about 7 feet in height when simply jumping, and leaping to heights potentially greater than some mountains when using the splash technique. Unfortunately, these feats of power are merely for show, as Magikarp usually do not get enough height with their leaps to actually inflict substantial damage when falling.
Since Gyarados are effectively in a permanent bad mood, it is uncommon for them to be captured, let alone battled in the wild, and the mere thought of doing so would probably be the worst course of action that could ever be taken.
This is particularly evident in the fact that Gyarados do not favor humans much for the violence they cause and the pain they inflict on themselves and others. History has shown this to be especially true during times of war within and around the Japan area, as there are many tales involving Gyarados becoming intensely aggravated by the smell of burning objects and the sound of weapons clashing in battle, even to the point where they intervene and cause some massive destruction of their own. The Hyper Beam attack of these beasts may not be very powerful, but because of how these creatures generate the energy needed for the move, their Hyper Beam acts as a powerful beam of thermal energy capable of setting ablaze anything and everything in their path, leaving little else than charred rubble in their wake. As such, it is said by some that any place where Gyarados appear at unexpectedly is doomed to destruction, and have appropriately been titled as the deity of destruction by certain circles. Worse yet, some Gyarados have learned how to turn their Dragon Rage attack into a devastating weapon by using the sheer power of the attack to generate massive water cyclones capable of sinking an entire luxury ship. Needless to say, this has made Gyarados both feared and respected creatures in their homeland, and can more than make them a dangerous tool in battle, though the chances of getting one under complete control is still difficult in the best of cases. It is lastly noted that, strangely enough, Gyarados are classified as both water and flying types because they actually have the capacity to fly for short distances above the water, and the cells are more conducive to electric shock than those of similar life forms. While this makes them doubly weak to electric-type attacks among other added weaknesses, this can at the very least give Gyarados a surprising edge over ground-based Pokémon in the wild, a trait that proves especially useful because Gyarados can survive in both fresh and saltwater environments, and thus may end up switching habitats during mating season.
In addition to all of the above, it is noted that Gyarados is one of only a select number of Pokémon known to be capable of undergoing Mega Evolution.
While most Mega Evolutions retain the same type assignment as their normal form in battle, in the case of Gyarados, the development of a radical new anatomy completely changes what they are capable of doing in battle. When Gyarados Mega Evolve while clutching a Gyarados, their general length does not change, but their mass increases substantially as a result of massive development in the body muscles located near their head and the front half of their body, making them much bulkier than normal. To compensate for this in the water, these creatures have developed the ability to blast jets of water from newly developed orifices on the sides of their body, enabling them to streak across bodies of water at supersonic speeds when at full power and with enough momentum to cut even large ships that get in their way cleanly in two. In addition to this increase in muscle mass, these beasts mutate and lose the extra conductivity normally found in their cells, and grow a substantial energy conduit in the front half of their body that can charge up and energize their forms with anti-positive energy, turning them from water flying types to water dark types. This newfound type assignment also comes with a massive increase in aggression triggered by the energy burden laid on them by the anti-positive energy coursing through their bodies, to the point where the only thing left in their minds is their destructive instinct to raze everything around them to cinders. As a result, even the best of trainers can find it nearly impossible to fully control a Mega Gyarados if it becomes enraged. In terms of stats, this radical change in anatomy to Mega Gyarados slightly increases their base special attack stat and considerably increases their base defense, special defense, and attack stats. In turn, they gain the highest base attack stat out of all Water-type Pokémon, the highest base stat total out of all non-legendary Water-type Pokémon, and the highest base special defense stat out of all Dark-type Pokémon, tied with Umbreon and Hoopa Unbound. The increased aggression observed in the species also has the effect of making them attack others so fiercely and so vigorously that they have a habit of striking their opponents without much care for their abilities, breaking through their innate defenses to the point where they are effectively rendered possessors of the Mold Breaker ability. Altogether, this makes Mega Gyarados a monstrous sight to behold in any battle, and most certainly not an opponent that any trainer will want to face without a serious type advantage for protection, and even that might not be enough.
This family takes the cake when it comes to humble beginnings and triumph through perseverance, even if the final reward for said perseverance might be a terror that few want to have to see up close. I kind of have a soft spot for Magikarp. It is true that, even compared to Pokemon like Phoebus or Wishy-Washy, these fish horribly underperform, but at the same time there is something so endearing about them that makes them too adorable to not love. The way that they splash around and try and tackle things at higher experience levels is simply too much to let go. But nothing can last forever, and it is only inevitable that these fish will either die or manage to reach adulthood with scary results. Gyarados are true monsters, there is no denying that, and friend or foe are titles that mean little once their temper reaches a pink boiling point. Once that happens, you're better off fleeing for your life than confronting them in any circumstance, as they are quicker on the draw than they look, and can bite a person in two if given the chance. Even though I do consider myself to be a fairly experienced individual when it comes to taking part in battles, that is not a face I would ever desire to face, especially if they are put into a Mega Evolved state. Point blank, Gyarados are known as the Atrocious Pokémon for a reason, as anything that stands in the way will be reduced to an atrocious state, with little more than raised ground left in their wake.
While they might not be anywhere near useful to most as they start out in life, the members of the Magikarp family are beasts with incredible potential for those that are willing to wait just a little bit to see what they can really bring to a fight. Even so, one should be ready for the very worst if they wish to take on the challenge of raising one of these marine monsters, especially when it comes to knowing how to restrain them.
So do yourself a favor and be prepared to stop these beasts at all costs if they start to rampage. Though it may be unwise to face them on one's own, if needed, doing anything to stop them would be appreciated before the land around them is reduced to cinders from their unending wrath.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Untitled, and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.